everybody. Welcome to Life in His Word once again. This is our second video. And we just want to say thank you for all the likes and shares and subscribing to last week's video. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, we had a good time. Shout out to my daughter, Kathy Torres. She did the editing. She also has a YouTube channel, so check her out. She's got a lot of fun content in there. Most of her videos are just really funny. Yeah, if you have children, have them subscribe and check out her videos. So what are we talking about today?
Well, it's a new year, so we've been talking a lot about it's important for us to be able to have vision to know where we're going. Yeah, so a lot of people are doing their New Year's resolution now, and I believe that we've always had like vision boards that we do and stuff like that, and it kind of helps keep us focused. I guess we'll be talking about vision.
I think this conversation started a few months ago that we were talking about. It was like towards the end of the year, just to kind of set everything up, but it was towards the end of the year, and we always start talking about what do you see for the new year, what should be our goals as a family, like what do we see ourselves doing in this new year? So we start talking, and I just, in prayer, I just began to, ask God about my goals and stuff like that. And at that moment, I began to think a lot about dreams as well and goals, right? So I'm like, babe, I think dreams and goals are like different, and I'm not speaking on a dream like when you're sleeping and you have a dream, that happens. I'm a big dreamer. I'm constantly dreaming. But that's dreams, right, as far as like something that you've just always wanted to do, and it just seems so far-fetched, like one of those, like something like that, it's a big vision that you see. It's a dream come true, like that's what we're going to be speaking on. We started thinking about what's a dream and what's a vision and what's a goal, and are they all different or do they all work together? That's kind of like what we've been speaking about.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point about dreams and goals and vision, and are they different, are they the same, do they work together, do they not? Because I think they are different, they all work kind of together.
I agree.
If you align them all. I mean, you can't go one way or the other on different aspects, but I think if you align them all, they all do work together, because I think there's dreams that just God puts inside of us.
Yes.
That we have a certain passion for that sometimes other people don't have. And I think that's when you really know that it's a dream that God has put inside of you. I mean, yesterday was Martin Luther King, and we think about the passion that he had, for civil rights, and maybe there was a lot of people in that time that didn't have the passion that he had.
Yeah.
That didn't have that dream that he had, but God put something in him.
Yeah.
And because he was able to continue going on what God had given him, obviously he did a bunch of changes.
Yeah.
I mean, he paved the way for a lot of different laws and for equality, so I mean, but it all started with, that dream and that passion that God put inside of them, and there's different people that are passionate about different things, whether it's helping people that don't have housing or that need food. And it's funny because sometimes we'll have that passion and you'll be like, but why don't you see it like that? And it's because that's something that God put in you, and the thing is, if it's a passion that God put in you, a dream that God put in you, then we have to learn how to focus ourselves to be able to bring that out.
Usually that's where the gold will come in.
Right.
So and here's the thing that we were talking about, right? So dreams, as you were hearing him, usually when you have a dream, it brings about this passion and this excitement, and a lot of times, most of the time, it's for others. Is to bless others. And that's what we've been speaking a lot. Our dreams, especially when we have certain passions and stuff, and we have to understand that God has placed that within us. It comes from God. It doesn't come out of nowhere. No, it comes from God. And we have to understand that those dreams will ultimately bless others. It's not just for our own personal gain. That's pretty much what we've been really speaking on. Our dreams and our passions and things that God has put inside of us, they have to bless others. It should bless others. Once we have that and we have that vision and we're ready to kind of like execute it, that's when, we go ahead and we write it on tablets, the way it says in Habakkuk in 2 and 3, where it says, go ahead and write the vision plain, make it on tablets. And like that, it's easy for you to see it, and then it converts into a goal where you're like, okay, now I really want to go after this. And what are the steps that I need to take next to actually make this happen? happen. I think a lot of times society teaches us to be so goal orientated, right? So we have these goals of losing weight and making more money. And when you really look at it, it's selfish. It's very selfish. And listen, I'm all for getting healthy and losing weight. I'm in that process right now, so I'm all for that. But I think society has really taught us to just only think about ourselves, like do this for you, do that for you, do this for you. And it's like, okay, that's good, but then that's it. To me, that's not living. If you're constantly doing things just for yourself, that's not living. You're living a life that's not purposeful, and I'm all for self-help. I'm all for self-motivation. I'm all for that. But at the end of it, it can't just be just for you. You can't keep it all in. You have to begin to dream for others as well.
It's funny that you say that because I think that has to be a balance. Like, obviously, you can't say, I'm just going to live for everybody else 100% of the time. Because,
exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't even have time to eat, you're gonna end up dying.
Obviously.
So, but we also can't be so self-centered where we're just focused on ourselves, because what happens is then we live a life and we almost feel like we don't have purpose. Like, we've accomplished a lot of little personal goals, but then it's like, well, what the heck was I here for? I mean, was I just in life to just be in shape and be a good motivational speaker, whatever it is that you're setting goals for? When you mentioned about Habakkuk, I mean, if we really look at that book, I mean, Habakkuk spends a whole chapter just complaining. He's like,
he does.
He's like, God, like, what's going on? Why is all this happening? He's like, I can't believe all this is, and why are you letting this happen? And God tells him, listen, write the vision down, write it on tablets, make it clear.
Stay focused.
You know what I mean? And I think that's key to the things we need to do. Habakkuk saw a problem and God told him, write the vision down, make it clear. We have to understand that there's problems out there, and when we focus our vision, it has to be to fix a problem. It's really the purpose of the vision. And we have our own goals. Like, we have goals that we do on ourselves to better ourselves as either parents or husbands, or wives, or whatever the case may be. We do stuff to better ourselves. But it's funny because when we have everything aligned, even the stuff that we help ourselves at help us towards our vision.
Exactly.
So it's like what we learn and our personal stuff will ultimately help guide us and help bring us towards helping and pushing the vision that God has really put inside of us.
I think many of us feel like what we have this dream, right? And it can be something, maybe you're just super passionate about orphans, children that don't have a home, and you're just like, man, I wish I can, build a house for them, and I can have volunteers to help me with them, and maybe that's just something that you would love to see, and I think sometimes we wait for someone else to do it because we feel inadequate. We're like, I can't do that, I'm not qualified. And I think we have to switch that mindset, especially the people of God, like Christians. Like, we have to switch that mindset and actually say, hey, you know what, God put me on this earth because I'm a solution. God has given us creativity. He's put certain things in us for us to create, and we just gotta pray through that and ask God to help us in those areas and to give us creativity. I mean, we can be the best engineers and the best innovators of our time if we really just allow God to switch that mindset of saying, I'm not qualified, I can't do this because I didn't go to school, or I don't have the funds, or I don't have this. You know what? I think we need to just switch that mindset and say, no, you know what? God put me on here. I have the Holy Spirit inside of me. Guess what? I am a walking solution. I can come into a place and God could give me some kind of wisdom, something, and we have a solution for a problem. So I think that we need to get out of that mindset and let's begin to dream bigger. We've been doing a lot of that lately, and the where God is taking us this year, we're so excited. I'm not saying that what God has placed in us is going to happen this year, but we are taking those steps. We're praying, and by faith we know it's going to happen. Whether it takes a year, 2 years, or 3 years, we know that in our lifetime is going to happen. We know that we're going to see it and it's going to come to fruition. So I believe that as people of God, we have to take the time to sit down and dream and think about what is my passion? What is it that I love to do? How can I help others with what God has placed inside of me? And we all have something to offer. It makes me sad when I hear people saying like, oh, I'm nobody, I have nothing to offer. And it's like, that sucks, because yes, you do have something to offer. You have a story, and with that story will come a dream could come true through that story.
Yeah. I mean, I think because a lot of people say stuff like that, like, oh, well, I'm not really sure what my passions are, and I think the first step is to actually like sit down, pray, and really meditate on what has God really put inside of you, because sometimes it's something where it's just tug on your heart, and it's funny because we look at,
won't leave you alone.
Yeah. we look at like an oak tree. Oak trees are huge, but they come from one little acorn, that's super small, and a lot of times we see, God to put a passion inside of us and put a vision inside of us, and we're like, man, that's so big. I don't have the resources. I don't have the understanding. I don't have the wisdom. I don't have the people. I don't have the money, whatever the case may be. But it's a seed that God has put inside of you. It's something really small that can turn into something really big if we're able to walk that path. We have to understand that vision at the end of the day is different from sight. Sight is what we can see, what's right in front of us. I can see you. Vision is.
I see you.
Thank you. Vision is how we see the way things could be.
Yeah.
So you see past what's right in front of you. And it's funny because sometimes that's faith.
That's faith.
Right. And the Bible tells us that, faith without works is dead. And the thing is, I think sometimes, like, even with us talking about stuff, or like when we do vision boards or stuff like that, sometimes we're like hesitant to either write it down or to make a vision board or to talk about it, because we're like, man, it's so far out there that I don't really know if it can happen. And a lot of times we don't want to write it down, or we don't want to kind of say it, because we're like, what if it doesn't happen? So it's almost like that doubt and that fear that kind of grasps you, and it'll hold you back from what God is trying to do and where God is trying to take you, because I'm not really sure if it could happen. So I believe, we really need to learn how to exercise our faith and say, hey, God, if this is what you've put inside of me, then I just got to do my part.
Yes.
You got to take care of everything else, man. God knows exactly what you can handle. He knows what your gifts are, but we got to put that faith into action, and then let God deal about the rest, because that's really how God glorifies himself. When we say, hey, I'm just going to do this because this is all I know how to do, and then God starts putting everything in place, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't even know how that could happen. So it's, but it's that thing of us being able to exercise our faith and really say, man, God, you know what I'm qualified to do. You know what's inside of me. You know all I can do at this point. But this is the vision. This is the dream that you've given me. I'm just going to start walking in it.
Yeah. Not even qualified. I mean, there's so many things that we've done and are still doing in our lives that we didn't go to school for. We're not qualified. Not at all. But we've just pretty much been obedient to it, so God will reveal something to us, or this passion would just come out of nowhere, this dream, and we're like, oh wow, like, okay, I think we're supposed to do this, and you just start taking steps towards that, and little by little you'll start seeing how God will open this door and open that door. I think a lot of times also, because we spoke about the ones who don't feel qualified, and that stops them from dreaming big and going with the vision, or we also have the other group of people who know, but they're scared because of the process, of the process. Yeah. And a lot of times people will be like, okay, God, you're telling me to do this. You're calling me to, work in a homeless shelter, or to feed, people that are in need, or clothe, like God will show you what you're supposed to do, and you're just like, okay, that's good. Or maybe God is calling you to pastor. Maybe, people have spoken word over you, and then maybe you're in a church, and maybe the pastor in that church is saying, hey, I feel God is going to call you to pastor, or to be an evangelist, or whatever the case may be, and because you've been in God for so long, and you're just like, that's awesome, but I don't want to go through the process, because that immediately when you answer the call, there is a process. It's not just, jumping in a field of flowers and roses and everything's all peachy, because with dreams, there comes a process. And I love how you brought that message about Joseph, because Joseph went through a huge process. That's in the book of Genesis, chapter 37, where you start seeing the story of Joseph come through, and he had this dream, and his dream was a literal dream where he went to sleep and he had this dream. And his brothers hated him for that. And he went through a process before that dream actually came to life, you know. But I think a lot of people are scared of that process. They don't want to go after that they really feel in their hearts, in their spirit, that they feel this passion, and they're just it excites them. But they're like, you know what? That's for that person. I'm not going to go there because I know that once I start doing that, the devil's going to get mad. Everybody's going to hate me. You know, I'm going to go through some financial issues. You know, like people start thinking that way. And I don't know if you can elaborate a little bit on that.
No, I mean, it's true. And the thing is that I said this before, every dream is going to be tested for authenticity.
Oh, that's so good.
It's when you have a dream, it's gonna be tested, you know, and that's what happened with Joseph. He had a dream, and it was tested, you know. And it's funny because his dream, he ended up becoming, you know, second in command in Egypt, so he had a high-ranking position. But at the end of the day, his dream benefited his brothers a lot more than they even did him.
His enemies, because they
the ones who hated him,
they became his enemies. Yeah. They hated him.
So it's funny how his dream benefited them more, but because he had his dream, it was tested. It was tested over and over and over, you know. And a lot of times we don't like going through the process, you know, because we're like, oh, I don't really feel like dealing with any of this stuff right now, you know. I mean, I don't want to go through the fire right now, you know. But in all that, there's benefit, you know. If you know God gave you a dream, you know, and it's gonna be tested, then at the end of the day, it's just for growth. Yes. I mean, if we see that everything that Joseph went through, every step he went through was for growth. You know, I mean, even when we talk about when he was in jail, you know, he was in a jail that was full of people that were in jail from the palace. So I mean, you imagine like all the political stuff he learned while being in there, which was what prepared him to rule. You know, because he had never ruled before. He didn't know anything about it. You know, so it's just everything that we go through in our process. You know, it'll eventually. And later on the line is when we notice, we're like, oh, I went through that because of this. You know, we go through it all the time. You know, when we were talking about the dream God put in us this year, you know, for the farming and all this other stuff, there's stuff that I learned years ago, which I didn't even know why I was learning it. It made no sense to me. And now it's like, oh, well, I know how to do that because of this, you know. But back then I was like, I don't even know why I'm here, but whatever, God, you have me here. Let me just whatever. Let me just continue on in life and wait to get out of here, you know. So it's just funny how God will align everything, you know, and even when we don't understand what's going on, you know, he's still there's always growth and learning in every step of life that we're in. It grows.
The process is not bad. So whoever is listening to this and you have a dream and you have something that you know it's gonna bless others, right? Don't wait for someone else to do it. You know, begin to pray, begin to ask God to show you who you need to speak to, what places you need to go to, that He give you favor. And don't be afraid of the process. Like, don't go into it saying, well, I know the devil's gonna attack me and I'm gonna have financial problems now, and that's such a terrible mindset. That's not walking into something by faith. You know, that's walking into something, you're walking in defeat, you know, and we're called to walk in faith. So walk in faith. And if things start getting a little shaky, which sometimes they do, believe God and continue on and have that faith. The process is just to build your character for the end result. You can't go from I have this dream and just shoot yourself up there. Let God be the one to do it. You know, you take the steps, be obedient to whatever it is He's telling you to do. Don't be afraid of the process, because honestly, I mean, we've gone through so many different processes in our lives and still going through them. But honestly, I think we've learned to kind of embrace it, and you learn from it. I mean, there's just so much that you can just learn through the process, and in that process you can teach other people too. You know, someone else that's going through it, and you're like, man, just stay there. Don't quit. Don't lose hope. You know, God is building your character. He's removing some stuff out of your life that needs to be removed before you hit the promised land. I wrote a note here that while he was preaching a few weeks ago on this, he said, God will show you the promise, not the process. So I love that because, right, God showed us the promise years ago. Years ago, we were like, okay, cool. You know, like, this is awesome, you know, but I'm talking about years ago, like
probably like 7 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago.
It's been a while when he showed us this vision, this dream, this thing, and we're just like, wow, like that's huge, you know? It's been 7 years of process that we've gone through some stuff. We won't say it all here, but we've gone through some stuff. We went through so many different processes that I'm like, now that we're here now thinking about it, I'm like, all that was to teach us and prepare us, and that's been a 7-year process. And now is when we're starting. I mean, we're not even there yet, but we're starting to take certain steps, and we're seeing how God is taking not only us, but our ministry, our church, you know, and the people that he has surrounded us with. It's incredible, honestly, because that's another thing. Like God will add people to you that have the same passion, the same dreams. I just love how God has done that for us, you know, through this years of process. He's just added like people in our lives that are just as passionate as we are about God and about his heart. It's been a process, but it's been very good.
So to bring up, because I think it's good for us to understand, I guess, the difference of stuff, you know? So, I mean, we have, you know, God will give you a passion. Yeah. That it's something that you really feel like it really tugs on your heart. It's something that's really like that you really see that there's a problem that needs to get fixed. So you have that dream that God has placed inside of you. And then we have to see that as being like our vision. Yeah. You know, what we're going to. Okay. And then we have our goals, you know, which are important. It's important for us to make goals, and our goals should ultimately work towards our dream or our vision. You know, because it should prepare us for that walk. It's important for us as people to have goals, to be goal-oriented. It just helps us kind of stay focused. Yeah. You know, when we think about that, we're thinking about a vision. What a vision helps do is it kind of gives us...
It narrows down.
Yeah, it gives us like a narrow kind of tunnel, almost like a tunnel vision in a way. Yeah. You know, it kind of takes away distractions. And when we know what our vision is, what we're going towards, it really helps eliminate a lot of outside stuff. Because in this life, man, you will have distractions. You'll have all kinds of things going on at the same time. And a lot of times I think we're a society that's so easily entertained at times. Yeah. Because there's so much, man, I mean, I can get lost in my phone playing them dumb little apps, you know, dumb little games. You know,
or so social media.
Or social media. I'm not much on social media, but the games, you know, I'm like... You know, but we can get lost in so many distractions that'll end up deviating us from what our vision is. You know, and a lot of times, like, you know, a lot of times people are like, how can I say? A lot of times our biggest hurdle is distraction. That's usually our biggest hurdle in life, distractions. What's most effective is not necessarily stopping us, but deviating us. Okay. You know, like a lot of times we can deviate from what we're supposed to do, and we miss timings. We miss. Yeah, you miss. You know, you miss. You know, you miss stuff that, you know. That's true. You miss opportunities. Okay. That you should have done. And the thing is, when we have a vision, when we have a dream that we're focused on, it'll help those distractions. It'll help those distractions it'll help you push those distractions out to the side. Because if you know what you're working for and something comes along the way and you're like, that's not going to help me towards this, then it's easy for you to just kind of say, no, that's not helping me towards my dream or my vision. You know, and the thing is that I think that's something that's very important, because a lot of times we don't have that vision. We don't have it written down. We don't have it. Like we're really not focused on it. And whatever comes our way, we kind of just entertain. And a lot of times we could be wasting time, you know, and we could be missing opportunities, and we could be just because we're distracted in the things that are going on around us. Yeah. You know, a lot of times it happens every year. I mean, December 31st rolls around and you're like, what have I done this year? Yes. You know, the year passed by so fast. I mean, we were in church yesterday and I was like, why is it already the end of January? It feels like I just
started.
Like we just had Thanksgiving. Like Thanksgiving feels like it wasn't too far away.
It almost feels like we didn't even have Christmas.
It was like everything was just so fast. And it's crazy because we can be so easily distracted because this world is so fast and so much going on that we'll lose focus on stuff. So for us to have focus and vision and work towards our dreams, it's very important because it helps kind of keep those things out the side, you know. And what we need to learn how to do is put goals, you know, set goals before us. And like Habakkuk says, it says we have to be specific, we have to be detailed, we have to write it down, like know exactly what it is.
On tablets.
You know, it's important to be detailed and have, you know, we have to have long-term goals, we have to have short-term goals, you know. So I mean, I was looking at goals one time and they were saying like every person should have like 7 to 10 goals at any given time, you know, with 3 or 4 being long term, the rest being short, kind of leading up to that. Because the last thing you want is to have goals that they all take 5 years and then you're gonna spend 2 years working hard and you're like, I feel like I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, you kind of feel like there's no reward there.
Right, exactly. So we have to, you know, set goals, small goals ahead of us so we can constantly see how we're doing, because if we don't do that, then we don't even know how effective we really are. Yeah. Are we really working towards our goal? Are we really, you know, zoned in on our vision? You know, and when we're able to do that, it really narrows down what we need to do. If God has put that inside of you, then that's something that you really want to bring out to fruition because God has put it inside of you. And that's really how you're going to find purpose.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people don't know what their purpose is. And it's because sometimes their dreams are so big that they get scared by it. Yeah. But if we take it one step at a time and say, God, I'm going to trust you in this, and start kind of writing it down, start putting goals in front of you and just start walking in it, you know, God will back you up.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And just 3 things that I guess we can, or 4 things. This is something that I wrote while he was preaching this message. Number 1, God gives all dreams. So that passion, that excitement, whatever it is that excites you, God put that inside of you for a purpose and it's for a reason. Number 2, our dream has to bless others. So I love this because if your dream doesn't bless others, it's probably not really a God dream, it's more of a personal goal. Our dreams have to bless others. Number 3 is our dreams must align with the Word of God. That's important. It has to align with the Word of God. We also, with whatever it is that God has placed in us to do, I'm a huge believer that we need to share the gospel. Because that's our purpose here, is to share the gospel. You know, there's some organizations that are Christian-based, which I'm not judging them. I think they're incredible and they're amazing. But then they don't preach the gospel. We need to make sure we're feeding them spiritual food, sharing our testimony with others. And through whatever it is that God has us doing, let's make sure that we're sharing the gospel as well, that it must align with the Word of God. If not, then I don't know, it can be effective, but I feel like it won't be as effective. Number 4, God will show you the promise, not the process. Whatever it is that you're going through and God showed you the promise and maybe it's been a few years and you're still going through that process, just trust God. There is a reason for that process. And in God, nothing is wasted. Nothing. God uses everything. He uses everything. At the end, you will look back and be like, wow, now I know why I went through this. Yeah, that's what we wanted to share today about, you know, the dreams and goals and the vision. They all go together. God will birth a dream inside of you. You know, he'll put that seed, he'll put that dream in you, and you're just so excited. And then you're like, what do I do next? You know, do what Habakkuk did. Write it on tablets, you know, write it down, put it on a vision board, pray over it, and ask God to give you creativity and favor, and that he will surround people that are like-minded with you to help you bring about this dream. And then after that, make goals towards that. So, okay, what do I have to do this year to get a little bit closer to that dream, God? What's the first step that I have to take? As you keep going, God is going to be opening doors for you. It's not going to be open all in one shot. That's what we wanted to share with you guys today. So I hope you like this video. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. But I hope this video helped you guys. I hope you guys get something out of it. And don't be afraid to dream.
It'll help.
Sorry.
It'll help. Excuse me. Talking about visions.
Ariana will edit all this.
I sure hope so.